back to Coach's Corner. We've got some high-powered Rams with us today. Some of the best that we've had walk the halls, and I'm really excited. They're going to share some of their knowledge, some of what made them great. We have Troy Johnston from the class of 2016. He's much older than he looks. We've got Malaina Thacker, class of 2017. And then we've got Maddie Egan, who graduated in 2019. They all hold kind of a special spot in Rogers athletics. You've got Troy, who was a first-team All-State selection for baseball when he was here. Malaina Thacker, who holds numerous records in the women's track division and finished second in the 800 at the state tournament. And then you've got Maddie Egan, who is our first-time 12-time state competitor. So she really helped lay the framework for, I believe we call it the Platinum Athletic Award these days. So it's pretty there's a strong group of Rams. Lot more to come, a lot more information to share about them. But they're joining us here today, Mr. Zentz and myself, to talk about moving on to that next level. How can you be great in high school, and how can you continue to be great as you go into your college career and possibly beyond? So we're going to start out. They're going to chat with us a little bit about time management. There's a lot that we know in high school can kind of overwhelm you, whether it's the sport, the school, the social life. They're going to share a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of what they've found helps them. So we'll start off with Troy.
Rambo, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to kind of talk to you and talk to all these other high school athletes that are going to be coming through the system and whatnot. But first thing I want to touch on when you're trying to keep your time management is just making a schedule. I was fortunate enough at Gonzaga to actually have a class that taught me how to be a college student. And the biggest thing they preached was making a schedule for yourself. And so I had notebooks and binders of dates. I had it in my phone just to make sure that I was on time with all of my assignments, all of my practices, all of my lifts, everything. And so it's really good to have that scheduled time. But the thing that you need to also schedule in is your social time and your extra practice time as well. Because as important as it is to be a great student and a great athlete on the field, it's even better to be a better person off the field. And so to have that social time to impact your community or impact the people around you is really what sets you apart from the other people on the team and the other people in your lives. And biggest thing too is that factor in that time to get a little extra work by yourself. I know as high-powered athletes, everyone almost overexerts themselves sometimes, but to have those practice times by yourself is where you shine in the light a little bit more. And so you got to always think that there's always someone better or working harder than you. And so to have that time scheduled in there, you can really have the confidence to go out in the field and perform the way you want to perform.
Okay, yeah, so I really agree with what Troy said, and kind of what I have to say plays off of what he was talking about with scheduling and managing your time. And for the academic side, what really has helped me is to just start everything early. Your first day of classes, you're going to get your syllabus and you're going to know all your due dates. And so writing those out in a schedule and seeing how that aligns with your athletic schedule and the days that you're going to be missing is really helpful, because then you can plan out when you're going to start those assignments or what you're going to do to get ahead or make up things that you're going to miss with your professors. And your professors will really appreciate it if you know what you're going to miss and you start that early, so that you're not just coming back to class and you're already behind. And like Troy said, it's really important to schedule in time for yourself, or to do things that you're passionate about, whatever it is. If you have hobbies or just hanging out with your friends, it's really easy to get caught up and stressed out in college with your classes and everything going on in athletics and traveling and missing classes and everything. So scheduling that time to just do some self-care is really helpful and keeps you sane and helps you just to stay going.
There we go. I agree with what both of them said. I think the big thing as for my freshman year at least was like getting in that first routine, because there's a lot of unknowns when you're transitioning. And so what was big for me is my advisors would say, like, you have your practice schedule, you have your class schedule, you have to combine the two. And so then I fully understand when I have the break times, when I can study. And as they both said, is like getting that self-care and stuff and surrounding yourself with like people that will motivate you. So you can work with other people that strive for the same goals and you can study with them, but it's still like relaxed and you can still have fun that way. It's not too stressful when you have that off time, but also communicating with coaches and stuff and trying to get those extra practices, as Troy said, and making sure you have, I think balance is a key word, and making sure you have that balance, especially that first semester, and you kind of get in that routine of, this is what I need to do. These are the goals that I have for the end of semester. Setting goals was really big, of like GPA goals, goals in your sport, and like where you want to be in that first semester.
Now, all of you kind of talked about, I mean, obviously the time management piece and balance between school life and social. Malaina, you mentioned travel. Like, on average, how many days are you guys at school, like in a normal school setting during your athletic season?
At least for cross country and track, it's kind of difficult because we have 3 competition seasons. So we have cross country, indoor, and outdoor track. So there's not really an off season. I know some sports, like, they try to take a heavy course load during their off season or their training season because they're not traveling as much. But for track and cross country, you're kind of going all year round. But luckily for my sport, at least at my college, we don't travel too much for cross country. And if we do, it's usually just missing like a Thursday, Friday. But then in the spring for track, we're missing at least every Friday.
I would say for us, it was, like Malaina said, we have like kind of 2 seasons, but we also, our lighter load was in the fall. So we were able to put a heavier load of classes in the fall. And then communicating with teachers in the spring was super big because we were gone we were at school the same amount of times we were traveling. So it's where we have to communicate on what we're missing, and we won't be in class that much. So that time management thing is huge.
At Gonzaga, we were kind of flip-flopped a little bit. We like Malaina said, we took the heavier class load in the fall, which was it was hard a little bit because you still had those training days and whatnot. But then you were at school in the spring. For us, we had up to 5 games a week. So we were at school between 2 to 3 days a week out of the school week. So we were never at school. We had to, essentially, we were taking online classes, even though we were supposed to be in class. So the communication with the professors is one of the biggest strategies you have to have as a college athlete, because if you can't have that, then you really won't know what's going on.
Well, I guess I get the second question, and the second question for you guys is, first off, let me just say how impressed I am with you guys. We spent now the first 5 minutes here talking about athletics, but everything's been education, and that's, you guys represent Rogers really well when it comes to the student athlete. So I'm so proud of you guys and what you've done for us after leaving Rogers High School. And this is the kind of model that we want, high school students to see. But it's just not all athletics. It's a combination of both. So my question for you is, you guys were all stars and did really well in high school, and you had amazing performances in high school, and then you got to college, and what motivated you into college to keep going and pushing to become successful in college? It's not so easy. So what helped you get motivated that way?
I'll start with that. Honestly, what motivated me was I just wanted to be the best. At every facet of my life, I want to be the best, whether that's, in the classroom, whether that's on the field, whether that's, if we're playing, something stupid like cards, I want to be the best. And that's what motivates me to, be successful at the next level and be successful, because if you want to be the best, you got to put the time in, you got to have the confidence, you got to put the work in. And so when you do those steps to prepare, you end up having success on the field, off the field, and, you know, throughout your life?
Yeah, kind of similar, but a little different. I think what motivates me and keeps me going is just a drive to better myself in everything that I do. I don't think necessarily I always feel like I have to be on top or the best runner out there or the best one in the classroom. But for me personally, it's more of a motivation just keep bettering myself. So usually my goals going into races is just to better my time from last time, and more pushing myself to see what I can do and just see kind of what my limits are.
I agree with both of those, and like the same sense of wanting to be the best, but also knowing like you want to keep bettering yourself, and also like coming to the realization that your team is all there for the same reason. They all want to better themselves, but in the end, you always want your team to win. You want to represent your school the best they can. And so I think that was really big for me to realize is like, we all have the same goal here. It's like, it's to go to the national tournament. It's, to play the best, to beat UW, to do all that stuff. So it's kind of the fun thing is like when we're in practice, like we're all competing against each other to like be able to compete against our competition, if that makes any sense at all. But like it's where you have to learn how to compete against each other to compete against others.
No, I think that's great, and it's a solid outlook in terms of just like the whole person. For the three of you, kind of talked about it, whether it's be the best right here, right now, be the best overall, be the best version of myself today, beat who I was yesterday, work with the people around me. You guys are saying everything we as coaches at Rogers High School try to instill, and that's why you guys were the best. I mean, that's why you elevated your game and got to the point where you are today, and you continue to improve at each level. But you know, not everybody at Rogers High School, not everybody that's in our athletic programs have that same drive or that same natural ability that the three of you have, or that just that fire. What is your advice for your Rams out there? Any high school student, whether they're trying to compete at the next level or they're just trying to compete here in the fall, what's your advice for them as they go to step on that field?
All right. I think the biggest advice that one could give is that it's sports. It's supposed to be fun. You know, you're playing with friends, with people that you end up potentially, you know, that you make your friends your family every once in a while. And I mean, it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be interactive. And so when you take that enjoyment of the game and you take it further, that's when you can really have that success. It's because you're in love with the game, you're in love with the sport. And so that's where you really can excel.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say too, is just to have fun with it. It goes by so quick. Whether it's just at the high school level, I feel like college goes by even faster. But also just to not get caught up and let athletics define you and be the only thing that you find your self-worth in and all that, because athletics aren't going to always go the best. There's injuries, there's things that come up, seasons get canceled. So it's just really important to find other facets of your life that are important to you, whether that's your team or your family or other hobbies. It's important to seek out other opportunities that give you joy and make you feel happy.
I would say the love of the game, like Troy and Malaina said, but also don't take it for granted. Whether you're in high school or college, don't take the opportunities you get to practice, the opportunities you get to play for granted, because, I mean, like Malaina said, it goes by fast, and you never know. With, like, the cancellation of the season and stuff, like, I don't know, life is crazy, and it changes every second. So just love what you're doing, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody could have ever predicted the way this spring has gone, except the Simpsons, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's been, and you guys have such positive outlooks. I know you had big things headed for this spring, but you're still positive and you're talking about moving forward and training and doing what you got to do. And that takes grit. And that is what we call a transition into the induction of this week's Grit Grid with Mr. Zentz.
Right. What an honor again to be on the Coach's Corner. So this week's recipient for the Grit Grid has done a number of things for Rogers High School. Not only has she been a presenter in staff meetings at our school to help us with understanding the mind and how it works in students, but also with our programs in terms of trainings and helping us get better and stronger and smarter. And so this week we induct into the Ron Schuer Grit Grid Missy Widman. She's a big part of our success, and I'm so excited for her to be up there. Sense perseverance through this time and this quarantine, and for all of us to see that kind of perseverance, and then for her to work with us. Sometimes there's only 3 of us in those workout sessions. Impressive. So, congratulations, Missy.
Yes, nice job, Missy. Thank you for everything you're doing for Coach's Corner for Rogers High School and the students in the community. It's a lot of fun doing what we're getting to do and watching you guys continue your careers and grow. You are phenomenal examples of what we want Rams to be. And the best part is you're willing to come back and say, hey, I'm just another Ram. Once a Ram, always a Ram. And you're helping kids out. So to close out, we've got one more time. I've got Malaina Thacker in high school. She placed second, but recently she took third in the Big Sky indoor. It was mile competition. And then she's maintained a 4.0 her entire time at the University of Idaho. So not just a stellar athlete, but a stellar student.
Thank you.
You've got Maddie Egan, tennis stud from Rogers High School, but also kind of laid the framework for the Platinum Award. That's 12 state appearances, 12 varsity letters at Rogers High School. Has a bright future ahead of her. She took a shot at UW. I'll support you. Go Maddie. Best of luck in your future. And then we got Troy Johnston. He currently, after being drafted by the Marlins in the 17th round last spring, he's currently striving to keep climbing that ladder. So very fun to watch. Very exciting to see what all 3 of you are going to do and how you're going to represent Rogers High School. Before we part, do you have anything you would like to say? Any one of you, Zentz, athletes?
Yeah, let me just say to all of you guys, I'm so impressed with you all, and it's not just your athletics. You're so well-rounded. You're such a good representative of Rogers High School. I know that it really makes me smile, and I need things to make me smile. So thank you all for making my Sunday.
And I'll finish off too. I'll kind of build off Ken Zentz a little bit, but being well-rounded. And hey, there's a lot of great sports at Rogers High School. You don't have to be singular in your sport. You got the track and field team, you got cross country, you got wrestling. I love wrestling. What a great sport. And you got exactly. And you got all these other sports that you can, make all these different connections and make all these new friends, try all these different things. Because one of the big things that the Marlins were looking for when they were drafting guys was just being an all-around athlete. They actually looked at like our high school portfolios a little bit and saw what sports we play, like how much of an athlete, and playing all those different sports makes you a better athlete and makes you better in your desired sport.
No, and that's something I didn't directly address, but each one of these athletes on the screen is a multi-sport athlete. They didn't specialize. They didn't focus on one thing, and they, whether it's volleyball and track or cross country, basketball, and tennis. And then we've also got the football, baseball, wrestling trifecta over there. They push themselves to their limit to be the best they could be. And that's what we want. So thank you once again. And we will see you next week. Fight on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.